Hi, everyone. What's been going on in your life this past week? Actually, I bet some of you are taking tests at school. I know my daughter is. Some Arizona merit tests, and those make for kind of long, hard days, don't they? Well, I'm glad I have you for a little while this weekend because I'll share a fun Bible story with you today, and you can relax and not think about all those tests about math and English and let's see, what else? Do they do science on those tests these days? I bet they do. Well, thanks for tuning in for Sunday school, and we'll get on with our story. Do you remember what we listened to last week? We were talking about good times for the Jewish people. Remember, Nebuchadnezzar came and tore down the temple and took all the Jewish people as slaves. And for 3 generations, they were there in Babylon, and it was very hard times. But then Daniel, who refused to worship anybody but one true God, our God, he was thrown to the lions. But God saved him. The angel put those lions to sleep. Daniel was saved, and when the king saw what God had done, he said, "Go home. You need to build that temple back up and worship God." He was a believer, and he let all of the Jewish people go. And they marched home singing and dancing. They were so happy. And then they started rebuilding the temple. So here we are today. Wow, we're on chapter 20. How did that happen? And today we're going to talk about someone very special. Her name, have we talked about many ladies in the Bible? Any young women yet? We're going to talk about Esther. Do you know the story of Esther? Our chapter is called The Queen. She was a queen of courage and beauty. Let's see. I'll read you. This is from Esther chapter 4:14. Comes right out of the Bible. It says, "What if you don't say anything at this time? Then help for the Jews will come from another place, but you and your family will die. Who knows? It's possible that you became queen for a time just as this." What are they talking about? Do you know? Something about help for the Jewish people? Again, what's going on? Another king. It says, time passed, and a new king conquered Babylon. Okay, so we know the Jewish people aren't in Babylon anymore, but a new king comes along, and he takes over Babylon, and his name is King Xerxes. Wow, what a name. Can you see, have you ever known anyone to have a name with all those X's? Xerxes, Xerxes. He became the ruler of the Persian Empire. It says the Jewish people lived in many countries and cities of the empire, and they had to obey their new king. King Xerxes wanted everyone to do as he said. His closest friend, Haman, always followed the king's orders. But the king's wife, Queen Vashti, didn't do what the king asked. So King Xerxes asked to get rid of her. Wow. And so now he needed to find a new queen. Goodness. Well, let's see what's going to happen. He didn't like Queen Vashti because she wouldn't do what he wanted. And so he got rid of her. Let's see who he's going to find for his new queen. This chapter is called Esther Saves Her People. Esther. The search was on for a new queen for King Xerxes of Persia. All the pretty young women were ordered to come to his palace. Esther didn't want to go, but she had no choice. Her cousin, Mordecai, warned her. "Don't tell anyone you're a Jew," he said. "You might be harmed if they find out." Beautiful Esther obeyed. When she was presented to the king, he fell madly in love with her. King Xerxes quickly made Esther his queen. But Haman, the king's right-hand man, kind of like maybe helped him with the business of being king. He was there and he was growing more powerful. Maybe he sort of thought he was like king number 2. He convinced the king to sign a law that made all the people bow down to Haman. Now that sounds like a very similar story about what happened to Daniel. They signed a law where they were not allowed to worship their God. They were told they could only worship the king. This is similar. It says, Haman, who was the king's right-hand man, and he wanted more power, he convinced the king to sign a law that made all the people bow down to Haman, him. Oh, how Haman loved that rule. Everywhere he went, people knelt down to honor him. Wow. But one day, Mordecai did not bow down to Haman. Mordecai believed it was wrong to show honor to anyone else but God. This made Haman very angry, and he knew that Mordecai was a Jew. So he convinced King Xerxes to kill all the Jews. My goodness, what a horrible man. Haman, wow. Very, very self-centered and wanted all the power. Obviously, he doesn't know our God. Well, when Mordecai learned of the plan, he ran to Esther, who is now the queen. He says, "You must talk to the king. You must get him to change his plan." Esther wasn't sure she could find the courage to argue against powerful Haman. And what would the king do when he learned that she was a Jew? Would she be in danger? According to that new rule that Haman had made, she would be killed too. Wow. And she kept the fact that she was a Jew a secret, so nobody knows. Wow. If she were to tell the king that she is a Jew, what do you think might happen to her? She's probably scared and nervous, afraid. Let's see. Do you think she's going to have the courage to stand up for what is right? To stand up for her cousin Mordecai? To stand up for herself, for her own beliefs? What do you think? Would you? Then Mordecai spoke from his heart. I think he's still speaking to Esther. He says, God may have planned your life for just this moment. You are the only hope for your people. Wow, that puts a lot of pressure on Esther. She's already probably scared and nervous. She doesn't know what she's going to say. I mean, she has a secret. The king has no idea that she's a Jew. So maybe she feels like she lied. But then Mordecai says, maybe this was God's plan all along for you. You are put in this moment in time for a very special reason. He believes that Esther is the hope for all of the Jewish people. Let's see. So here's the picture. There is Mordecai over here talking to beautiful Queen Esther. They're whispering. They're worried. What's she gonna do? Here we are. Looks like we're gonna go talk to the king. Let's see. Esther knew. Oh, she knew what she had to do. She invited the king and Haman to a special banquet. King Xerxes was so pleased, he asked her, "What do you want, Esther? I'll do anything you ask." Esther said, "I want you to save my life." I bet he doesn't understand. The king says, he said, "I don't understand," but he says, of course I will save your life." Then Esther explained Haman's plot to kill the nation of Jews. What do you think the king thought of that plan of Haman's? Do you think the king was happy about it? I wonder if the king even knew. And so the king, angry at Haman's sly trick, the king ordered him killed. So Haman, he will die because of his trickery. He was evil. The queen had found her courage. She was bold and courageous. God often asks us to be that way, to trust in him. And God's people were saved. So Esther was very brave, wasn't she? Let's see what God has to say to us today. He said, "Great is your courage." Oh, he's talking about Esther. So great is your courage. You have rescued my people from harm. You have valued their safety over your own. Another selfless one will follow. Born to serve, his love will know no bounds. His protection will be everlasting. Who do you think he's talking about? I think you know. another selfless one will follow, born to serve. His love for you and me will know no bounds. He will lay down his life to save my people. Well, a couple of weeks ago now, we had Easter Sunday, and what was that all about? It was about Jesus rising, because Jesus died on the cross for you and for me to save us from our sins so that we can one day live with God in heaven, which is his plan all along. God always wanted to live with and among us. And he will send Jesus. And we know that he did send Jesus, and Jesus arose and is in heaven, and one day we look forward to meeting him. Well, now, wasn't that an amazing story about Esther? So, Esther had a secret. She was a Jewish lady, and because of that evil Haman, even her life was at risk if she shared the truth. But she did the right thing. She went to the king and told him the truth. And because of that, because of her courage and her faith and trust in God, she was saved, but her whole nation of Jewish people were saved. So what she did turned out to be an amazing thing. What Mordecai said to her was right. She was put in that moment in time for that very reason, to save the Jewish people. I wonder, sometimes we find ourselves in awkward situations, and maybe it seems like it would be better to just stay quiet and not tell the truth. Maybe you're worried you'll get into trouble. I wonder what you would do in a situation like this. Think about it this week. If there's a doubt of what you would do, pray to God and ask God to help you. Trust in God, and you will do the right thing and make the right choice. Be bold and courageous. All right. Well, I loved hearing that story. And you know what? I look forward to, in a few more weeks, on May 2nd, we're going to have a musical with our children at church. Maybe some of you are watching now. And we have one of our sweet young ladies playing the role of Esther in our play. It's a play about some of the heroes of the Bible. Well, maybe you will tune in on May 2nd and watch our children as they put on the play about faith heroes. So we'll look forward to that. For now, let us bow our heads in prayer, and I will go, let's see, how about, will the Bird family help us pray today? Thank you so much. I look forward to seeing you next week. Bye-bye.
Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. God bless.